Did you say civil war? Ironically, you are not the only one to say civil war, because at a rally for JD Vance, a state senator in Ohio named George Lang, who was one of the warm-up speakers, also talked about a civil war.
Trump and Butler County's JD Vance are the last chance to save our country politically. I'm afraid if we lose this one, it's going to take a civil war to save the country, and it will be saved. It's the greatest experiment in the history of mankind. And if we come down to a civil war, I'm glad we got people like Schmitty and the Bikers for Trump on our side.
And they're cheering again. This is the second time.
I thought we didn't have space for political violence.
Again, I mean,
I thought that was something we weren't encouraging, was political violence.
Exactly.
But here we are, a week removed from Trump's failed assassination attempt.
Yes.
And you have a Republican senator asking for political violence.
Yes. And the wild part is this is the second time. Remember, the guy from the Heritage Foundation, one of the reasons that Project 2025 kind of blew up in terms of what people knowing about it was because the president of the Heritage Foundation said that this is a second civil war. And he was like, it'll be bloodless if the left allows us to do what we got to do, it'll be bloodless. So now here's another Republican coming out and saying, if we lose this election, then it's going to take a civil, like literally, and we are, come on, man. And so part of it is, and I want to come to you, Miracle in Trouble. Part of this is like, I mean, we saw what happened on January 6th, right? If Trump loses, and in many states, he's losing right now.
Yeah.
The polls just came out, he's losing. Should we be preparing for white people to just go crazy and violent and be violent in our community like we saw them go crazy, particularly these white supremacist Republicans, like we saw them go crazy in January 6th?
I think so. And I think while we've been kind of watching everything happening on the political stage,
yes,
I can only imagine what they're doing behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Because like January 6th, we know that wasn't just a random thing that happened. We know that they've been planning that. They had been planning that for some time before it happened.
Yes.
So I can only imagine what they're planning to do this time around if Trump doesn't win.
Yeah, I mean, Miracle, I know that there has been some concerns already about safety and security. I mean,
America is a violent country, so
yes,
you're always going to have to expect violence when it comes down to us, to be honest. But I don't think so, and here's why. The ramification of Kamala Harris is what you're going to see in the next 2 months. And it's always Black women save us, Black women save us, Black women saving democracy. And so for a lot of people who hate to admit that under Obama they benefited, the policies under Obama, they got better domestically, to be very clear.
Yes.
Domestically better. A lot of white people secretly are wanting Kamala or some other Black or brown person to come clean up their mess.
True.
And make this country great for them.
Yes.
So then the next election they'll take it over. You're starting to see this pattern.
Correct.
Of you put out Black and brown people to have these radical ideas, and then once those ideas become popular, you then get a white face to go and push those ideas and sanitize those ideas. That's what's coming really within our political sphere. We see a lot of times it's like Rashida and Summer and Corey saying all of these things that need to happen, and 6 months later that's the national most liked platform.
True.
But we needed a Black face to say it first. We needed a brown face to be the victim and be the sacrificial lamb first. Test it out. Once it's proved, then a white person can come and say the same thing. And so I don't see the violence as like a civil war. I see like one or two people doing like what they did like after September 11th was like couple of people get hurt, a couple of skirmishes, but I don't see a widespread civil war, because you forget gay people have guns, trans people have guns, Black people everybody has guns these days. Like everybody has like full on
Is that
arsenals.
good or?
I'm a non-gun person. I don't like guns.
Everybody have guns doesn't mean that. That's the opposite of what you were saying.
But everybody really has guns. And if you really think that you're going to do a January 6th on Kamala, you really think that you're going to be able to pull a January 6th knowing that there's going to be thousands of black men in D.C. ready to defend her? You really think they're going to pull another January 6th? You may even have the Israelites out there fighting for Kamala if you do that. Like, no, they're not dumb, right? And I think even yesterday, you've seen so many black men show up and defend her. Like, they're not dumb. You're not going to see that. And I think what you're starting to see now is people are like also exhausted by the violence. And could be like their way out. Nobody wants to be, take it as someone who's gone to therapy, nobody wants to be angry all the time. Nobody wants to be in fear and fight mode all of the time. Mm-hmm. And I think that Kamala gives people, and the message she talked about, gives people that hope. And it also allows people to build this big tent party and really move on. People haven't been able to really move on from these far right Republicans. And she can basically look, let's just move on. And I think it was Nikki Haley. Yes. She's the one who said the party that wins is the party that gets rid of their senior citizens first. Yes. Yeah. And this is not ageism. It's like people are just like tired with this stagnant good old boy system where we can't navigate and talk about issues and figure out a different strategy. I think people like that. You saw China announced that they have gotten all of the Palestinian factions together, right? And everybody's like, well, why couldn't America do that? You see like South and Latin America talking about they're doing their own infrastructure. You see the North African bloc talking about they're going to be doing their own investment, their own infrastructure. The world is changing and we need to really reflect the changes of the world. And we kind of need younger, newer people who are more connected, who have more of a multicultural globalist perspective to be in office. And she could be that. She's not that right now, but like she could be that.